Good morning and welcome to Cover 2 Cook. We are on episode 77, our season finale, as we have to recap the NFL Super Bowl Sunday between the Chiefs and the Eagles. But before I get too far, let me bring on my co-host, Mr. Tim Cook. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. We had a game Sunday. It wasn't what we all expected. None of my tickets came in. Nothing on my boards came in. Nothing came in. So it was pretty much this game was over by the third quarter.
Yeah, I will be honest with you. I'm super happy that I decided to go on the Eagles during our podcast to take that
Yeah.
bet. I all day thought about the Chiefs, and then when we did the podcast, I'm like, I don't know what changed it to go to the Eagles. Well, they absolutely dominated. But before we get to that game real quick, got to talk about this season that we had, right? 77 episodes of the podcast. We'll have more going forward. We're going to be taking a week off before, we start the season 2 of the offseason. But crazy to think about. I mean, we've been sitting here talking about it for a long time of doing a podcast, or like, you'd come up for the weekends, or I'd come home or whatever, and we would just sit there and talk sports. And it's like, why not do a podcast about it? But 77 episodes. What was one of the best moments of this season for you?
I think that the emergence of Jaden Daniels, a rookie quarterback we've not seen like this, take a team all the way to the NFC Championship. Can he do it again next year? I think that was the biggest take I had it. The NFC North is strong. I mean, there's a lot of good players out there, but I guess we got to, I think we can stop saying that Mahomes is the GOAT. I think we need to put a pause on that.
I agree. And what I think for this year for the NFL season was the running back position does matter.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, for a little bit, there was that time period where everyone's like, do you want to pay someone? I don't want to pay Saquon that kind of money. I don't want to pay Derrick Henry that kind of money. Josh Jacobs ain't worth that kind of money. Every player I just named right there had a dominant season of offense that wrapped around them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing I take from this year is if you want to play football and you're that guy, right? Like you know whether you're that guy or not. But if you're that guy, now you may be considering running back instead of being a wide receiver or a quarterback, because in the last 5 years, I would have never told my future kid to play running back because they're going to use you and abuse you, and they're never going to pay you.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the pendulum has swung. Now it's not. I think it's the running back now that. Let's see what next year goes, but I think the money might go back towards the running back and a little less on the wide. Let's see this year. You've got free agents like T. Higgins. Yeah. You've got different people that are asking for different money. We'll have to see how the market goes.
And I don't know if you'll see the market this year change to running backs. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you may see it in the draft. You're going to see Genty go out pretty early.
Right.
You're going to see that Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State go pretty early because we want that 3-down back. So, but let's get to that Super Bowl game. We wait all day. We get the emotional Lady Gaga of the New Orleans, which was very good. Tom Brady is Terry Bradshaw, all of the Fox people there walking up. You saw the firefighters, very emotional start to it. So you're like, okay. And then the game starts, and I was like, did the Chiefs know the game started? Did they understand that the game started at that time? Because it didn't look like it. But what did you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles won the coin toss, or no, the Chiefs won the coin toss, so they deferred. So the Eagles got the ball, and they went right down the field. I mean, they ate up that defense of Kansas City. I mean, that pass, there's a lot of people where I was watching that said, here we go. That's what, Kansas City is going to get the calls now. Here we go. That's the first thing people are thinking of when they do get a call. Don't get me wrong, his arm did extend, and that's by the referee going, that's the letter of the law. If the arm extend, he almost had his hand on the face mask as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that was another deal, too. I mean, it's the letter of the law if that's how they're going to call it. But, I noticed in the game itself, the referee started being more assertive at the beginning of the game. And then right around the second quarter, you didn't hardly see any flags.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was kind of like the referees went, okay, this can't be about us. Let them play.
Well, and I think the whole narrative going into this game was the Chiefs get all the calls. And if I'm actually looking at the game, I think the Eagles got most of the calls that kind of went their way instead of the Chiefs. I don't agree with that call. I didn't think it was pass interference on AJ Brown. I understand his hand did get a little high, but
Right.
he trips. It's a hell of a ball by Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
But you knew right off the start, Kansas City is going to stop the run.
Yep.
You are not going to beat us. The easiest freaking bet I've ever probably put in my life was Saquon not getting that 110. I mean,
All right.
great player, great player. But the Chiefs were going to say, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, A.J. Brown, you're going to have to beat us. Juwan Dotson, you're going to have to beat us. And they
Yep.
did.
Yeah. Most definitely. And also too, they they get a key unsportsmanlike penalty, which that one was kind of like, that keeps some drives alive. And then the Hurts gets the tush push, made it 7-0. It was just like, and Kansas City couldn't do nothing. I mean, they got pressure on Mahomes like you would not believe. I was texting with some of my friends back, not downstream, but in another town, and the Bears are looking at that Trey Smith. Bears fans, do you really want to sign a big contract from this guy? Because him and Tooney got rocked. I mean, they got trucked the whole time. That front four of the Eagles is tough. You got Jalen Carter. I mean, and three of the players I think played for the Georgia Bulldogs a couple years ago. So I mean, they have, and Noah Smith is out because of injury. So I mean, it's that defense was, and you could just tell for the first time in, and I think Patrick Mahomes' career, he was rattled.
Second.
I think
it's the second. I think it's the second time he's ever been rattled. Because I think people forget, because I'm seeing it all today, and we're recording on Monday night. We'll be dropping this on Wednesday, but on Monday, all we're seeing, maybe he's washed up. Maybe he's done. Travis Kelce needs to retire. Do you guys all forget when Tom Brady won his last one, that it wasn't Tom Brady that won it? In all honesty, it was Fournette and Mike Evans that won them that Super Bowl. And that defensive line getting after Patrick Mahomes. When that game ended, everyone was like, they will never win if they don't go out and get offensive line. Well, they did. That's what killed them in this game. Their offensive line could not stop. I think I read a stat today that they blitzed 2 plays the whole game.
Yes. They didn't start blitzing until the third quarter.
2 plays. 2 plays. And he got that much pressure. I mean, and honestly, everyone's like, well, Patrick Mahomes threw bad balls. There is a couple one. I mean, that Cooper DeJean, hey, bud. Oh, the exciting whites, because that's what
right.
Hey, everyone else is saying that, so don't cancel me. Everyone else is saying that. But Cooper DeJean, hey, awesome play, right? Taking my fat ass down to Applebee's now to have dinner with my wife because you got to get those free 6 boneless wings. But it was. I mean, I when you look at it, I mean, even the one with Braun intercepting it.
Yeah.
It was one where his left tackle is on him as he's throwing it. Like, the pressure rattled him. And you could see it. He had happy feet. He could get his feet set. And then when the game gets close to the end, they start throwing these deep bombs. It was like, where the hell was this at throughout the whole game? But they never had pressure. He never had enough time to get those deep balls going.
Well, he moved up in the pocket all the time, but he was moving up so that he didn't get hit. I mean, they had so much pressure on him that he didn't know what to do. And another thing too is Andy Reid, he's not on the Mount Rushmore because he did not make any changes in the second half. He didn't do anything. He just, this is what we're going to live and die by for the whole rest of what we've been doing the whole year. But you got to make changes. Spagnuolo, we're going to Hall of Fame. Is he? I mean, he got exposed as well.
Yeah, I think we need to slow down a little bit on the hot takes and stuff. Like, I think Spags is still a Hall of Famer. I think Patrick Mahomes is still one of the greatest, not the greatest.
Right.
I think when you look at Andy Reid, his stats presented, my problem with this game is the Chiefs have never came out in any Super Bowl being like, oh shit, here they come. They always started slow. He's came back in 2 of his Super Bowls down 2 scores in those games. Like, that was just not the game to do that. I mean, the Eagles came out and said they had a fire under their ass, and they were like, we're going to score, and we're going to score a lot of goddamn points now.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs just couldn't wake up. You can't wait till the second half being down 34-0 and think you're going to come back in the second half. You're not. You're not that team.
No.
And I will say, I think the Tooney situation at left tackle worked until it didn't work. And that was this game. But can we please, and I'm going to, give my own lashings to me. can we please give a little respect to Jalen Hurts and throwing the ball? I mean, there was a couple that looked like shit, but otherwise, that one to Devontae Smith to put the nail in the coffin, holy shit, man.
Yeah. He threw a dime to him. I mean, that was just even the Jahan Dotson one and the AJ Brown one. I mean, they were darts. I mean, he was throwing, and that's what they were pretty much Chiefs defense. We're gonna see if Hurts can beat us.
Yep.
And he did. I mean, he had almost 300 total yards of total yards. I mean, I can see why he was the MVP. But yeah, I mean, and like I said, in the second half, they came out, didn't do anything. I mean, they went 3-and-out, and they went down scoring. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has never been down that much in his career, 34-0, and they were showing a lot of stats of teams being down. You know, and this no other team has been down, and the one team to keep popping up was Denver.
Yeah. I actually
they kept showing one about the Washington one where they scored 34 points in the first half. I'm like, yeah, I remember that. They scored 7 points. And then Washington scored like 35 straight or 28 straight. It was crazy.
Well, that and then the what was it? Damn it, Denver versus who did they play where they went down real bad too? Was it Seattle?
San Francisco. Well, yeah, Seattle. Yeah, they were. I think they just drilled them too. I mean, the San Francisco one they got beat 55-10. I mean, they got drilled.
Yeah, that wasn't a good look. Hey, on the other part. I just want the Vikings in the Super Bowl, so I'm not going to even talk my shit like there. But I do. I think when you look at this game, the Eagles came out ready to play. I think when you looked on the piece of paper, they had the better team. It's the same thing we looked at for college football this year, national championship. The Chiefs just everything fell right for them throughout the year, with blocking a field goal against Denver, and the Buffalo Bills couldn't get it across the line for the first down with Josh Allen. Everything just went their way to get to this game. But they were never meant to be in this game. And I will say that as a Notre Dame fan, Notre Dame probably shouldn't have been in that game.
Right.
There was other better teams. I think Texas was a better team that year, or this year. But everything bounced Notre Dame's way. And so they got there, and then when you look on a piece of paper, you're like, yeah, no shit, they got their ass kicked. Like,
right.
I mean, it was so funny, but I read a podcast, or I was watching a podcast today that they said, you got the new blueprint to how to win a Super Bowl. You go out and draft DBs that change your whole DB thing. You go out and get a great offensive line. You go out and get a great defensive line. You go get a best running back in the league. You get a quarterback with a wide receiver that wins a Heisman. With the wide, they were just like, the team is so good, so good. Yeah. Like when you actually talk like that, and who do they have? They have playoff Patrick Mahomes and playoff Travis Kelce. D. Hopkins wasn't even noticeable until the fourth quarter.
No.
Xavier Worthy, they kept him in check. I'm going to say right now, if you can't get past the two white guys, we got some problems. Like, he should have been open a lot more than he was. He should have been. They just didn't scheme that way.
Well, and also, too, you notice, like, the first 7 plays were all pass plays. They didn't try to run the ball at all. But I just don't think they have the running backs. I mean, Pacheco, I think he's still hurt. And Hunt's more of a north-south runner. He can't get outside and break away. Yep. He's like a goal line kind of runner, really. I mean, he can't. But Pacheco is just they tried to get him out, and they were just swarming him. I mean, they couldn't. I was really shocked of how the Chiefs even started the game by they didn't pass. I mean, that's all they did was pass. They didn't run. I'm like, when are you guys going to start running the ball? I mean, the run's going to open up the pass.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because on the last podcast I said they have a 3-headed monster. P. Ryan didn't even play in the game.
Right.
Kareem Hunt barely played in the game. And then Pacheco never got the ball. Now, I think what happened is the same thing we saw throughout the playoffs with the Detroit Lions. They got behind, and they lost their identity.
Right.
They got skirmished. They started playing out of their ass and making Patrick do that. Now, there is a lot of reports today that the hit that Patrick took in that first drive where he's rolling out to his right and gets hit, and he hits his head off the ground. They're like, did he have something? Okay, let's just talk about this for a second, real quick. You're not getting away with a concussion today's game. You're not. It is so looked at. I don't care if it's the Super Bowl, if it's the Hall of Fame game. I don't care if it's for the Fritos Bowl. It doesn't matter. You're not getting away with it. We saw Jalen Hurts get told to go to the sideline from a referee throughout this year. You're not getting away with it. So do not say that. He did not have a concussion. No bullshit like that. He had to do more than what he was asked to throughout the whole season and those 4 quarters. and he just doesn't have the weapons to do that.
No. And I don't know what they do in the offseason as far as what's their
Rebuild.
yeah. I was just they got exposed.
Yep.
They finally got. I think they were exposed all year by winning these close games. They really got exposed in the Super Bowl. They
Yeah.
just. They like you said, they only blitzed twice, and they still got that much pressure on them. Ooh,
Yeah.
ouch.
Well, and throughout the whole game, so I watched it at home. I don't go to Super Bowl parties. I don't do things like that because I love to hear the commentating. Obviously, the commercials are always great too. But what did you think about Tom Brady? I thought he did a okay performance in it.
Yeah.
I still don't understand how he doesn't understand when there's going to be a timeout or a TV timeout. Like, how does that not get through you? Like, he's talking as it's going into commercial, and it's like you're the secondary commentator. But what did you think about him?
Even who I was sitting next to at our local bar, he's like, you really do not like him. I said, no. I said, he brings no value to the game whatsoever as a color commentator. I don't think he brings any value to it. He's just stiff. He's stiff.
Yeah.
I think he's stiff.
Yeah, I don't think he's bad. I honestly think he sat there and smiled the whole time because everyone wanted to compare him and Patrick Mahomes. And let's be honest, he's got the more Super Bowls. But the whole MJ and LeBron conversation is MJ went to there and he won 6, so he won 2 threes in a row, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
If Patrick Mahomes wins 3 in a row, Tom Brady never did that.
Right.
So I think when Patrick Mahomes is struggling the way he is, he's sitting there kind of chuckling because it's like, now you're learning how hard it is. I do think some of his stories were just a little too much. Right. Oh, man, when we lost our Super Bowl, I couldn't, or before the first Super Bowl, I took a nap before the game. And then the last Super Bowl, I couldn't sleep the night before. I don't really care. I don't care, Tom. Just tell me what's happening in the game. And I think that's the difference I think we're starting to respect a little bit more of Tony Romo. Maybe people hate him. But when Tony Romo came to the stage and he was calling these plays out, we were like, oh my God, this guy's awesome. Tom Brady can do that too. But Tony Romo does better storytelling than I feel like Tom Brady does. And he's got 9 more years. So don't worry. He's going to learn over his time.
Right.
But yeah, it was a little stiff for a Super Bowl.
It was. I don't know. He's just not. I think they need to bring back Greg Olsen. I really do. I thought he was doing so well. I think, and he was only with him a couple years. I think you got to bring him back. And I don't think he'll be there for the whole 10 years. I don't think so.
Yeah,
I'd be shocked if he comes back next year.
I think he'll do a couple more years, but I think this ownership thing is going to it's going to ask more out of him than he thinks is going to come out of it. Who's the Big Ten commentator? The one that makes every play just so exciting.
He does. Yeah, Jones. No, I know who you're talking about.
Yes, he should do the Super Bowl because it is a game where every play is a big play, whether it is or not. It is because it's literally the last game of the year. And I was sitting there with my wife last night just being like, I didn't feel like I was a part of the game. Obviously, it's a blowout, right? That makes it kind of hard to – but, like, the commentators were just so dry in this conversation that it was like – I mean, that Devontae Smith, I mean, I probably said about 15 curse words, and that's what I want out of my commentator. Holy shit. Holy shit.
Right.
They just didn't get that. Or even the Cooper DeJean touchdown.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a run back.
Yeah.
I mean, that lineman, and it was like – and they're like, oh, and he returns it for a touchdown. It was like, get some excitement. They just scored a touchdown. Like, I don't know. We get Applebee's because that's all my wife kept yelling. Applebee's.
I did see her on Instagram. She posted a picture of, and it's Jalen.
Saquon.
It's Saquon eating a chicken nugget. He's going,
Well, literally, it was so funny because when he intercepts it, he's returning it, and I'm like, holy shit, he's going to return it. And she's like, Applebee's. And I'm like, we're not going to Applebee's. We all know who wears the pants in this relationship because we went to Applebee's. But, yeah, it's just one of these things where I just felt like it could have been more. But Tom Brady, I think, overall did okay. I did want to talk about other things. So, we had the Super Bowl halftime show. We had commercials. What did you think about the halftime show?
And I might be old, and I know I'm old. I I didn't care for it. I because I don't know the guy.
Yeah.
And that's that's just me. I don't care for. I did like the Uncle Sam
Yeah.
part.
Samuel L.
But
Jackson.
it was kind of like, do you really want to go down that avenue? Well, I guess they did. Because I was like, oh my God, it's a black Uncle Sam.
Well,
it's Samuel L. Jackson. I get that, but it's like,
I just kept thinking, like, how much do you think he's trying to like hold back cursing? Because every movie he's in, he curses like so much.
Yeah.
So like on that national television, you cannot curse, right? As a younger person, Kendrick Lamar is a great lifting music playlist, right? Because he can play that. But when you go on the radio, you don't hear much Kendrick Lamar because a lot of his songs got curse words and things like that, right? Obviously, he has the big hit, the Drake diss and all that stuff. Yeah. I guess I'm a little bit of like, I want more features in the Super Bowl. I don't want just one person. I guess the one that just sticks in my head was Dr. Dre in LA.
Oh yeah.
We brought Eminem, Snoop. Yeah. He brought just so many people out, 50 Cent. And it was like, I got 7 people's concerts at once. That is a halftime show, right? And me and Lisa were just at dinner and we were talking about it and we were like, what was the best one we can remember recently? And Lady Gaga, not good. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Justin Timberlake and the other
Janet Jackson.
Janet Jackson, not great. Outside of the boob slip. Okay.
Yeah.
Like everything else was not like I just can't really remember a good halftime where I'm like The Weeknd. I didn't think that was good. Michael Jackson and Prince were absolutely spectacular. But the problem now is it seems like, and Beyonce was good too. It's like these people now are too big to do a halftime show because I like Kendrick Lamar giving his little final take, but Drake is too big to do it. Right. So this whole thing going on, Drake's too big now to do a halftime show. I'm going to say this next year for the NFL, since I know Roger Goodell listens. He's a loyal listener to Cover 2 Cook.
Right.
I want Morgan Wallen. Okay. Here's why. Country's in. Beyonce's doing country. There's a lot of rap artists doing country or doing features in the country. And then you can bring in different country artists while Morgan Wallen, because he's got so many other people. It doesn't even matter if they do a song together. It's the same genre, right? Right. I also think it needs to kind of come back into something or pop, like pop. Mm-hmm. Bring back, I don't care, like bring back NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, something. Usher was great last year. Like bring something where like people want to dance to it or like enjoy it. I just thought Kendrick Lamar's was a little, I don't know. It just, I get it was the diss track of the year, so everyone was kind of, but outside of that one song, it really just wasn't that good of a halftime show.
And he did have SZA playing with him, and you also seen the tennis player Serena dancing too. So it was like that was kind of, but yeah, I agree. I think you need to get, even you had I seen some comments. Jelly Roll would be a good one. Kenny Chesney might be another good one. I agree with you. I think you need to get a headliner and then featuring Bob, because that one you said in LA. I totally agree. I really like that one because there were some songs I actually didn't know too. Yeah. This guy I have no clue about, because you can't hear it on the radio. Yeah. So I mean, you just don't know. I mean, I get it that he won 5 Grammys. He's hot right now, but I'm not. I was eating at that time. We had a buffet, so I decided I'll go get something to eat and listen to it, watch it, and Yeah,
so. we made brownies during the halftime show. We made. They've been sitting in my cupboard for like 10 months. Right. I think they were at the old last apartment, so I was like, we have an oven now. Let's do that. But I definitely agree. I think there could have been a little bit more with that one. I do like even Shabuzi, right? Yeah. But I did hear a hot take today that it should be like women artist or divas or someone that's like and like Rihanna was great, right? But Rihanna could have brought so many people out that would have been even better, right? Yeah. Why not do that, NFL? Mm-hmm. You guys are making millions off of bringing Taylor Swift into this conversation. Why would you not have a huge female artist coming in? Right. Why not? Because then you have the men watching the game and women, everyone watching the game. Right. But then a women audience or men audience into the halftime commercial or into the halftime show. Like that adds the element of like, oh, I'm here to watch this instead of just the game. So I think that's another thing that the NFL, hey, if you're going to exploit people to make millions, like let's do something like that then.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. One thing I wanted to ask you too. What do you think of the graphics of the score at the bottom of the game? I'm gonna
So
tell you right now, if you can't tell who was playing, you have got to
yeah,
be one blind person. That was huge.
I thought it was great, and here's why. I've been seeing a lot of I think it's CBS that's the one that I hate the most. The timeouts are so hard to understand what timeouts they have. This
Right.
one, plain and simple. It
Yeah.
was very bold. There, at one
Yeah.
point, I thought my TV was too zoomed in
Yeah. Right.
because
Right.
I was like, why is it so
Right.
big? Like, why is it 1/3 of my TV just for the score? But
Yeah.
I do think it's good. Like, hey, I want to see it. I want to get close. I also think when you do a Super Bowl like this, a lot of people go to a bar or go to
Right.
a house, and
Right.
I need to see the score.
Right.
I don't need to walk up to the TV to see the score. I want to see it from a
Right.
distance. So I think
Right.
that was good. I wanted to ask you, did you hear about Taylor Swift getting put onto the big board
Yeah, and being booed.
and being booed? Gee, many criminy.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
just laughed because it was like, dude, chill out. But at the same time, you didn't see. I don't feel like I saw her once on the show or
I
when
didn't
on.
watch it because we were kind of keeping track. I mean, what's going to be the count? Who's going to be on TV more, Trump or her? And I think it was dead even 1-1. They didn't show a whole lot of either one of those two, which I was kind of shocked because Fox is more of a Republican kind of
Yeah.
station. So I was kind of surprised they didn't show Trump a little bit more than
Yeah.
the one.
Well, that and I think they showed Paul McCartney more than they showed
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and that was a little surprising because it was like he had a
Yeah.
pretty young woman next to him, so it was like, Paul, you ain't young
Right.
anymore, bud. So
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, and then we also got to bring up the other thing that comes in the games, the Super Bowl. It's one of these funniest parts because all year you watch these football games, commercials come on, and you go on your phone or you go to the bathroom.
Right.
But then the Super Bowl comes, and you have to reteach yourself. They got to pay attention because of commercials. 8 million, and that's with an M, million dollars for 30 seconds on the Super Bowl. What was your favorite commercial?
I'm going to say when the remake of When Harry Met Sally from the movie back in the 90s. And then they had them come back and Sydney Sweeney, which I didn't know that was who that was.
Yeah.
That was Sydney Sweeney says, I'll have what she's having. Because in the original movie, it's an older lady saying, I'll have what. But it was Sydney Sweeney that said that. I think I like that one the best because, I mean, she's got that mayonnaise on there and she's redoing the whole deal. And he's like, really? You're going to do this again, huh?
Yeah. Here we go again.
Yeah, here we go again. So I thought that was the best one, I think, out of all of them.
Well, and even him saying, they just let us back in here. Like,
right.
they just let us back in. And she just starts going off.
Yeah.
And obviously, Sydney Sweeney is like one of the biggest, movie stars now.
Yeah.
And I thought for me personally was that either the Tostitos pizza rolls or the Doritos. Tostitos pizza rolls was funny because if you guys actually like these two people, they have a show called, I think it's Detroiters on Netflix or something like that, and they make commercials. They are hilarious. I can't name the two people right now. But when the alien gets slammed in the spaceship and he was like, all right, well, that happens. And he's like, we wanted to get to know him, but like he didn't want to open up to us. Hilarious. And then he was like, rest in peace. When he makes the voice, I thought that was hilarious. The Doritos was funny because we all get that when the bag, and he was like not letting go of it. Finally, they suck him up, takes out the thing, and then the alien's sitting there and he's like, Doritos. Like, it's just crazy to me because now you're getting to see the full commercials now because of how expensive it is just to do 30 seconds. I mean, the Budweiser one, like I saw the full commercial today and it was like, holy shit, there's a whole story to it. And we only saw just a little bit of that one. The Lay's one when put the potato in, that's a huge commercial, but you only saw 30 seconds because of how expensive it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I remember when that hit $1 million for 30 seconds, people were just like, holy cow. Now it's up to $8 million for a 30-second. It's like, maybe someday we'll get in one of those.
Yeah, no, thank you. But no, it was a good Super Bowl. I mean, I think this year overall was a good year for the NFL. I think you saw a lot of talent. I think you have your drama now even kind of coming in the offseason. I know we were just talking right before the podcast. Debo Samuel and Cooper Kupp. We talked about that. Myles Garrett and all these other people that.
Well, another one is Aaron Rodgers. He flew back in New Jersey, and they pretty much told him, "Yeah, we're good. You might as well start looking for another team because we're not. You're not going to be with us come March."
Minnesota.
You know what? They were talking because I don't know if you watched McAfee today, and Schefter said that he could see Darnold going to the Raiders, or not? Yes, the Raiders, Vegas. And one of the guys, I can't remember. One of the guys goes, "So the Rodgers are going to go back to Minnesota like Favre did?"
Yep.
Come on. And you know he'll bring with him. Could you imagine this one? Devontae Adams,
Justin Jefferson,
Addison,
Jordan Addison,
yeah,
T.J. Hawkinson,
yeah.
Aaron Jones is probably going to sign for the contract.
Whoa!
And now I got to wait for the whole season or the whole 6 months to get back into the season. No. I will say, and I think that's the thing that it's sad. I mean, I'm super excited. I'm so thankful for all the fans that have retweeted us. I mean, we gained traction on some TikTok. We've gained traction on Instagram. We've had that. Trivia is obviously a hit. You'll see a lot more of that if you've been watching the podcast, but if not, you'll see the reels coming up. We have things coming up that I think we have some good plans coming forward with possibly a draft and things like that. But it's so sad to think that, like, it's over. I mean, we were just, me and you were talking this past weekend that for like 4 months straight, we talked every Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
What was the one thing that you took away from Cover 2 Cook this year?
How much how much time? I think I learned more about football even than I ever did watching the games. But the time to put in this podcast, it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the other people can do that because that might be their only job. But we have jobs outside of this.
Yeah.
But now that you're doing that, I think I enjoyed it just to have the camaraderie with you back and forth. But it's just the idea that it's a lot of work. I mean, to do something, because I'm all in. I mean, when I'm going to do something, I'm going to give out a good product.
Yeah.
But they're just to watch a lot. I watched a lot of football this year. I don't think I've watched that much football in 40 years.
Yeah.
Just sitting there watching a whole Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, well, and even Red Zone to having multiple TVs set up for college football to Thursday night, you're like, okay, only one more day of work, but I got to sit and watch football Thursday night, Monday night watching football. We both work very early in the morning, so we both staying up later than we probably should just to watch as much as we can for the games. I agree. I think this was a cool season to do. I think I obviously enjoy having the conversations with you about it, and obviously we have these conversations all the time, but giving it to the public is obviously been great. The one thing I'll say I will take from the first season of Cover 2 Cook is, and I know I won't get it next season, is I got out of a lot of shit because of this podcast, okay? Because last weekend I just fixed up a bathroom because it was the first weekend without football. I've already been told we got plans for next weekend or this upcoming weekend. Next year, I hope that we can do it, but, I think next year we've already talked that, we'll do more during the week. Weekends get more of our betting. I think the betting this year, I thought we did pretty solid with that. I don't have the final stats, and maybe we give that out throughout the year, or at the offseason. But we did solid with it. We came out positive on the money.
Yeah, I'd say we're above 500. Easy, easy. And there's a lot of people that are not above 500. They do it for a living.
So I think that's the way we look at it, and but it was a great first season. We did 77 episodes. We'll be coming back in probably about a week and a half. We'll come back with some trivia, kind of recap what's happened in the offseason for a week or so. Kind of nice to just have a night off after, work and stuff like that. But we do want to thank everyone. Please follow us on YouTube. We have Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of them as well. You'll see a lot of our reels, even though we won't be recording. But we want to thank everyone for joining us. I hope you guys have a great off season. Stay tuned for what we got coming up because I've got a lot of great stuff coming up. But we want to thank everyone. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon.